part B.2, shifting responsibilities to container. In this part, we will do the change to improve our first solution. First, let me describe the idea, how to do it. Improve the first solution. First, let us examine the current solution. Actually, we just summarize what we got from the previous video. The service classes are coupled to their dependencies tightly. Okay, so that tight coupling relationship. They are fully responsible for creating and managing their dependencies. So these are two main points from the first solution, and we want to change this part. The goal, the direction, make not that tight relationship, as loose as possible. We can still do the same business, but we will make the connection between the business object and the dependency object loosely coupled. To do, make the service classes and their dependencies loose coupling. Loose coupling. But here, you may like to know what is the exact meaning of loose coupling, right? So here we can just imagine a little bit. At this point, we can only imagine this loose coupling relationship a little bit. We do not have the details of the loose coupling. We will learn, through several videos, several lectures, then we can get all the details of this loose coupling. All right. And the whole procedure we call it decoupling procedure. Decoupling concept. All right. Reduce the responsibilities of the service class to the minimum. Reduce. So if we look at the service classes, we reduce its responsibilities. If you look at from the whole object, we do not reduce responsibilities, right? Because we change the responsibilities. We shift. We take away responsibilities from this class and put it into another class. So it's a shifting thing. Because the total responsibilities you cannot reduce, right? As a whole, in the whole project, you have to do all these things. You cannot reduce any responsibility. But for one particular object, then we can reduce its responsibilities and increase responsibilities in another object. So that's the exact meaning. Next, decouple service class and its dependencies. So we want to learn a little more details in that decoupling procedure. Goal of decoupling. The goal, if we can do that, decoupling, then a change in a dependency will not result in any change in the service class. The change here, more specifically, let me describe in our example, we change from PDF generator to HTML generator. That change. So you make the change, but in our service class, we cannot see the change because we do not know what is the implementation class, right? From the previous video, so I told you the service class does not know what the implementation class is. Right? It does not know it. It is not important. someone else, some other object knows it. Some other object will do it. The responsibility for that part, that changing dependency object part, is shifted to another class, special class, the container class. From the title, B.2, you can see container will do it. The container is a special class to do that. Yeah. All right, next. How to make it happen. Now we learn the detail. How to make that responsibility shifting, decoupling, loose coupling relationship, that kind of thing happen. Okay? Yeah. Create a central module container. So it is a central module. Central. Yeah. Sit in a central location. Okay? Yeah. We know the meaning. Central. Okay? Yeah. Center of this whole application. That many other service classes put the responsibilities related to the dependency objects into this central module. Okay? Yeah, the container. So it is responsible for creating, managing all the dependencies. So now, so you can see that responsibility is still there, but the class is changed from service class to the container class. Here, we just imagine the container is a class. Okay, that is a special Java class. Actually, in this example, we use a Java class to play the container's role. All right. The service classes do not need to worry about their implementation class to use for a dependency. No responsibility for this part. Okay. Do not need to worry, so that means its responsibility for worrying this part is gone. Okay? Is shifted to the container. Okay? Yeah. That's the reason. Yeah. Next, it still has some responsibility. Yeah. The responsibility is reduced, but still there is some lower responsibility. Partial responsibility still there. Yeah. So what's that responsibility? It is still the responsibility of the service classes to look up here. Another important term, look up their dependencies from the central module. So creating, managing responsibilities, this responsibility is gone. But another responsibility, lookup responsibility, still is there, but it is reduced. From creating, managing is reduced to lookup. It's reduced to lookup. So what do you mean lookup? Here, let me describe the lookup situation. The container takes the responsibility creating, managing the dependency object. After it make it available inside a container, but your service class still need to look up. Okay? Need to get from the container. Get your own dependency object from the container. Right? So that part still you need to do it. Okay? It is not perfect. Regarding this part, it is not perfect. Because this lookup responsibility still make the reusability not as good. Not as good reusability. Yeah, so we will change this part later. But at least we improve it. Right? We reduce the responsibility. That's our improvement here. Yeah. All right. Yeah. So let's go to the next round. Role of container. So what is the role of container? First, we know central module, right? Creating, maintaining all the dependency objects used by the business classes in your application. Yeah, so create, manage resource object. Yeah, here we use this term, resource objects. Okay? Yeah. So it is a general resource objects. If the object is useful, we treat it as a resource object. Okay, it is a resource. Yeah. It is responsible for managing the life cycle. Here, you see this life cycle. Creating, so you create it. It is born. Okay? So life cycle. Then it goes through, you use it to do business, right? Yeah. At the end, at some point, you may need to destroy it. So make it dead. Yeah. So that's the life cycle. One life cycle. Next time you create a new one, right? So you start a new life cycle. Yeah. So for your resource objects. Yeah. And providing them a runtime environment. Here we use this runtime environment. In my first video, I start with the runtime environment. Here you can treat this container provides a local runtime environment for your application. It is very small, but it is a special runtime environment. Yeah. All right. It defines a specification. Here, another important terminology, specification. The rules, standard. How to communicate with this container, right? All other business service objects, you need to communicate with container, right? So you need to know the specification. Okay? Yeah. So it defines specification that all the resource objects running it must conform. Otherwise, you don't know how to communicate. Yeah. So this part make the configuration harder. So here, configuration. So what do they mean configuration? You use the specification to get different objects, resource objects connected. That's the configuration. That part will be pretty difficult because you need to completely conform the specification. Different containers have different specifications. So that part is pretty complex. Yeah, all right. Yeah. Component concept. Now, another commonly used concept in this container environment. So we call it component concept, software component, right? Software component. So this concept, so there is a, common general term, that's the Bing. Yeah, people use Bing. So what's the meaning of Bing? A component. A component in your application. That's the Bing. Yeah. So here, I want to say, when you see this Bing, not necessary a Java Bing, okay? Yeah, because some people may naturally connect it to a Java Bing, so not necessary a Java Bing. Definitely Java Bing can be a component, but a non-Java Bing can also be a component. Can be a Bing, right? Yeah, can be a Bing. Non-Java class. Non-Java Bing, because Java Bing, we know, it has to follow Java Bing specifications. Non-Java Bing, that means just the regular Java class. It does not follow the Java Bing specification. That can also be used as a Bing component in the container. So that's the terminology. Okay? Yeah. So that's the resource objects running inside container are called components. Okay? Yeah. The general term. Yeah. All right. Next, locate a component in service class. Remember the lookup, right? Remember the lookup duty in the service class. Now we want to know how to locate, how to look up. Yeah. Here I'll give you the specific way to do it. Yeah. New responsibility of the service class. It's new. Yeah. In the old solution, solution 1, we do not have this part, right? Yeah. But we replace the old responsibility, creating, managing, by this lookup, lower, smaller responsibility. Yeah. So it is, that's the fact we are talking about. Yeah. It needs to acquire, more details. It needs to acquire, so here, look at this word, acquire a component from the container. Yeah. Acquire here means actively get, right? Yeah. Yeah. Not passively, actively get from the container. Actively, yeah. Because this kind of detail is important for understanding. Actively, not passively. Later we will do the passive way. This is the active way. All right? Yeah. Acquire. Yeah. Then the code to do it. So here, I'll give you the code example to do it. Yeah. All right. Report generator equals, now look at this way, container. First, we write a container class. Okay? It's a Java class, special Java class, container class. All right? Yeah. Container.instance. This instance is a static variable. We know instance variable, right? But it's a static variable, not instance variable. Yeah. The static variable, why static? Static variable, when we use it, the whole application just share one copy of it. Instance variable, yeah, so usually you use many different copies of instance variable, but static variable only one copy for the whole application. Because here, this container is used to provide services for the whole application. Okay, so all the other components connect to this container with that single copy, right? So you don't want to create multiple copies of a container, right? Yeah, multiple copies. You want to only access one container copy as instance variable. Yeah, that's the reason it is a central module, right? It is a central module. Yeah. All right, so that's the reason we use the dot instance. We use its instance, static variable. Only get one copy, that container copy. Yeah. Then it has a special method called getComponent method. It prepares all the dependency objects inside the container. After that, sit there, okay, waiting for other service classes to use these dependency objects or resource objects. Okay, yeah. So now this get component, what you call this method, but you need to know the name of your dependency object. Each object must have a name for it. Right? Here we call it report generator object. Name. Okay? So then get component by its name, then that object is returned. Right? That object is returned. But you still you need to do casting to make it the right format of your business object. All right. So after you do that, you acquire your dependency object. You look up your dependency object. Okay, so that's the new responsibility. Yeah. So it does not need to know which implementation class is used. Yeah. So here, when you get component by its name, you do not know what implementation class behind this name, right? PDF generator or HTML generator, you don't know. Okay, so here you can see the connection, the coupling connection is reduced from tight coupling to loose coupling. Now it is very loose, right? Yeah. All right. So then the reusability of the service class is still not good. Yeah. Although improved, better than before, but still not good because of this lookup responsibility is still there. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. Now, the last slide of this video, how to make the container class. Here I want to describe the arrangement inside container class, but actually it is pretty simple. The container class is pretty simple. Just a few lines, a few lines in one screen. We can see all the code. Yeah. But here I just describe some basic structure in this container. Yeah. All right. How to store all the components. After you create new components, you need to place somewhere, right? Yeah. You need to put a good location, good place. So other service classes can get by their names. Yeah. So you need a special way to store. Yeah. The way to store, use a container or collection. So here, be careful. This container is different from that container. Different from that container. Okay? Yeah. Container, remember at the beginning, I gave you 3 different meanings. Right? Yeah. So GUI components, there is a container. Then a special Java class that can hold many objects. That's another container. Yeah. Now, the third one, what we are learning right now, runtime environment. That's the third one. This one, this is the second one. Okay? Container. So that's why, in order to avoid confusion, yeah, try to avoid using this container. Okay? Because another name we can call collection. So that's why people also create a different name, collection, for it. The reason is to avoid confusion. This container may cause confusion, so we try to avoid it. Yeah. All right. Collection object, yeah, different meaning. Yeah. Collection object, list, map, they are collection object. So when we use list or map, there is a special way to use. Yeah. So let me show you the special way. So here, to create the components, list, arrow bracket. So this is Java generics. Java generics technology is used. Arrow bracket. String object. String is for the key. The map, you need to provide a key because you want to search to find your object. Search based on the key, the string. So that object. Then hash map. Concrete class. This hash map is a concrete class. Because that map is interface. Interface, there is no constructor. Yeah. So you have to use some concrete class that implement that interface to construct your object. Yeah. Here, regarding the Java generics, some students learned from the prerequisite class I taught last semester. Some students learned that. But I believe you may still, some of you may still not understand this Java generics technology completely. Yeah. So I plan to create a video, at some place to explain the whole story about the Java generics. Yeah. To make those students understand this simple, commonly used, it is used, very commonly used technology. Otherwise, you will feel very hard. Yeah. When you see this, you do not feel comfortable. So that's why I want to explain the whole story behind this Java generics, but in a separate video. Yeah. So those who are familiar with this topic, so you do not need to watch it again. But for those who do not feel very comfortable on this topic, so you can watch this background. Yeah. All right. How to make it a central module. Central module. Yeah. So, big name. Yeah. But here we need to make it work as a central module. Yeah. To do it, so you can see static variable. Do it. I already explained in the previous slide, static variable. Yeah. That's the way to make it a central module. Yeah. Public static container instance. Remember, the key part is the static variable. The whole application only share one copy of this variable. Okay, that's good. Yeah. So that's good for communication. Yeah. All right. Components are created in the container. That's the responsibility shifting. Yeah. Components are stored in the container as key value pairs to that special map object. Search by key. Yeah. The key value search by key. We need to do the search. Okay. A public method getComponent is used for other objects to look up by the name of the component in the container. Okay. Here you can see this is the description of the whole story, right? After we introduce this container, how to make it work. So this is the whole arrangement. So you get a picture of this new arrangement. Okay. All right, so let me stop here for our second video.